All of us at times become susceptible to taking in other people's emotions. Whether you consider yourself an empath or a highly sensitive person, it's inevitable that at some point you will take on the energy of those around you. We see this influence all the time in crowds when people get together and start to do or say things that they normally wouldn't do on their own, but it becomes more likely because so many people around them are doing the same thing. We exist in relationship with one another, and how we show up in the world and how we project ourselves has a direct ripple effect on those around us. We'll use this vinyasa yoga flow as a self-inquiry to discover where in your life are you allowing other people's emotions to become your own, and perhaps how can you begin to take back power and put the boundary clearly down in between you and other people. Now, make no mistake, that boundary is not so that I can say you belong over there and I belong over here. It's not to separate ourselves from one another. The boundary is an invitation toward personal responsibility, toward realizing what is yours to carry, instead of opening yourself up like a sponge to everyone else all the time and taking on burdens that are not your own. It can be impossible to discover a sense of peace with yourself when you are used as a dumping ground for other people's problems. Let's arrive in a seat to begin the practice in Sukhasana Easy Pose. Let your shins meet in the middle and rest your feet somewhere underneath the knees. If it's uncomfortable for your hips, you could sit up on a bolster as I am. And then take your hands to your knees, soften your elbows, close your eyes if it's comfortable, or gaze down toward the tip of your nose. Loosen your belly entirely, and then take a deep breath in from the belly space. Hold it at the very top. Sip a little bit more air in. Full capacity, and then exhale and empty everything, maybe through the mouth. Inhale. Pause at the top. Then sip more air in. And effortlessly exhale. Take one more just like that. Inhale. Pause. Breathe in more. And then empty it all. Now seal the lips and breathe in and out evenly, with no holding of the breath. You have a great capacity for holding many things, and also an intuition as to what things are not yours to hold. And just as you felt the depth of your inhale, and that you can always take in a little bit more, is that the wisest choice for you right now? Or can you be okay with the boundary of your breath, the boundary of your body and your mind? Seeing the boundary as necessary, as loving. Find one more spacious breath here. And as you exhale, tip your chin in towards your chest. Acknowledge your true spirit. And open the eyes. And we'll transition as you lift the chin up onto the back. Arrive on your back on the mat, setting anything that you may have underneath you to the side. And extend your right leg long, Pull your left knee in toward your chest. Cup your hands around the knee and begin to anchor your right thigh bone toward the ground and flex through the right foot. Slide your left hand up to the left outside of the foot for half happy baby, Ardha Ananda Balasana, and let your right arm reach down to the mat by your side. Anchor the right knee forward and down, stretching through the inner legs as the left knee hugs outward toward the armpit and the side body. Expand the belly with deeper breath and soften the muscles of your face. Now exhale and bend your right knee. Bring it in and stack your left foot on top of it for figure 4 on your back. Thread your hands to either the right shin or the right thigh, whichever feels more accessible for you. Begin to flex into both feet gently, pressing through the ball of the foot as you would a gas pedal. Then roll the shoulders downward and maybe use the left elbow into the left knee. As you bring the right leg in, that left knee has a little bit of traction to move forward. Feel the boundary of your breath as you breathe evenly in and out. Now release the hold of the leg and send both legs long to the base of the mat. Rest your arms by your sides for a moment and bring your awareness into left and right side, noticing any moment of difference. Pull your right knee in toward your chest. Interlace your hands around the knee and gently guide the leg in. Now anchor through your left thigh and your left foot. Slide your right hand up to the right foot, left arm by your side, half happy baby. As the foot starts to come up toward the ceiling, anchor the right knee down and reach long through the left foot and the left knee so that you feel more length happen in the legs. Soften your grip if it's pretty tight onto your foot, noticing how much effort you're putting into forcing the boundary of your body to get more, and instead just relax into what is. Now exhale and bring the left knee in as the right foot stacks on top, figure 4. Arrange your arms in a similar way that feels comfortable, and then flex through the ankles and the feet so that the ankle bones aren't sickled into one direction or the next, but they just come straight out toward the foot. Spend a few moments with spacious breath. Now exhale and release the grip. Unwind through the legs. And one more time, send the legs long. Reach the left leg back up toward you and extend the foot toward the ceiling. Now thread the hands underneath the thigh, or maybe if it's comfortable, you can come up toward the calf. Wherever that grip feels neutral for the head and neck, reach up through the sole of the foot, especially through the big toe mound, faster than the heel. Guide the leg back toward you, just enough to where you find some opening. Think about sending your outer left hip forward, drawing the pelvis toward level, and now anchor down through your right thigh. One more breath in here. Breathe out and bend the knee, send the leg long. Now inhale the right knee in, Take hold of the back of the leg and extend the foot toward the ceiling. Anchor the leg with the hands behind either calf or thigh. And gently draw the leg in, pressing up a lot through the ball of the foot. In your mind's eye, locate your outer right hip and spread it forward. Find a couple more breaths here. And exhale, release. Send the legs both long to the base of the mat, arms by your sides. Close the eyes for a moment. And notice the difference in your roots, your legs, that which tethers you toward the ground. Start to feel the energy moving through the legs more completely and lightly, releasing some of the tension and the tightness that binds you to the earth, that binds you to other people's problems. And on an inhale, bring both of your knees in toward your chest, and either roll onto your side to come up to a seat or rock and roll all the way up. And then once you're there, plant into your feet and send your hips high as you dip your chest over the legs into Uttanasana. Relax through the crown of your head. Bend into your knees just as much as you need as you send the hips toward the ceiling. Hold on to opposite elbows here for ragdoll. Let the sides of the body grow nice and loose. You might even wiggle one side and then the next a little bit closer toward the ground, creating space in between each vertebra and in between each rib. Now release the hands to the mat. Take your hands to your hips. And inhale strong through your belly. Lift up, press into your feet all the way to standing. Once you arrive, send your arms by your sides into mountain with the palms facing forward. Activate through the feet by lifting the toes. Feel yourself rock weight into the big toes and the pinky toes, and then set the toes back down, but keep that feeling of lifted arches. And now inhale and sweep the arms up overhead. As much as you're pressing down into the ground, reach up through your fingers and then soften through the torso of your body. The shoulders sink, the abdomen loosens, but the thighs activate. One more full breath in Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And take an exhale, hands through heart, bend the knees and fold down to your legs. Then inhale to half lift, Ardha Uttanasana, fingers either to the shins or the ground, lengthen through the crown, exhale and fold down to your legs. Plant through your hands, step your legs back into high plank position, and then send your hips high to downward facing dog. Feet hip distance apart, fingers spread wide. Press into each fingertip and each knuckle, and then rotate the upper arms outward, feeling more space arrive at the base of the neck, the ears alongside the biceps, gazing toward the middle of the mat. And then pay less attention to alignment for a moment, and come into the feeling and the sensations of what is here. Allow bigger breath to expand and release, feeling a slight contraction of the navel up and in toward the spine. One more breath in. And breathe it out. Inhale and lift your left leg up behind you. Exhale and step it forward in between your hands into a low lunge. Frame your front foot and reach the back heel high over the back toes so that you can find the whole length of the leg and the sole of the foot active. Take your next breath in and dip the hips down a little bit, getting deeper into your lunge. Then exhale, lift the hips high. Use your hands for support as you fold over the front leg. Let's do that 2 more times, just working with the breath. Inhale into low lunge. Exhale, lift the hips high, straightening the legs to your comfort. Inhale. And exhale. Now inhale and step forward with your right leg to the top of your space. Fold over your legs, Uttanasana. Either keep the feet as is here, or place the big toe mounds to touch with a couple inches in between your heels. If the feet are together, then the knees come together. If the feet are apart, keep the knees apart. Inhale and rise through the chest into Utkatasana chair pose. Take a gaze down at your toes that you can see them, moving the knees toward the middle of the feet. Find just as much intention into your roots, lifting from the soles and reaching all the way to the fingertips. Now melt the front ribs inward slightly, tailbone slightly tilted toward the mat, and sink the shoulders down. Find one more breath here in your Utkatasana, and then exhale, hands to heart. Shift all the weight into the left leg. And inhale, pick the right leg up into standing figure four. Set the ankle on top of the left thigh. Sink again down into your left hip. And find your balance by lifting up from the crown, lifting from the navel, and finding one point of focus. One more breath. Then breathe it out and set your hands down to the ground. And slide your foot down to the ground. Pinky toes to touch. The right foot is crossed on top of the left. Then fold over the legs just to where it feels comfortable, always keeping a soft bend in the knees. Take an inhale, bend into the knees, unwind through the right foot, plant your hands, send that right leg behind you, lift it into the air momentarily in standing splits, and then exhale and step those toes all the way to the back of your mat. Now frame your front foot with your hands and tap your back heel down, parallel to the back edge of your mat. Rise up to warrior two. Reach long through your arms. Readjust your stance so that your front heel is either intersected with the middle of the back foot or the back heel. For a moment, if you'd like to explore your level pelvis and feeling of alignment here, take your hands to the tops of the pelvis, the bony parts, and then find them come more so into the meeting point where it feels like a straight line could be drawn one to the next. Then bend into your front knee and release your arms. Into this strong warrior stance with a feeling of lifted heart. Breathe into what is yours, your body, your breath. You get to decide how to react and what is allowed in this vessel. One more breath in. And breathe it out. Cartwheel your hands down to frame the front foot. Now plant your hands and sweep your left leg back to three-legged dog. Lift it up and set it simply back down to meet the mat, downward facing dog. Full breath in and full breath out. Inhale, lift your right leg behind you, up overhead. Exhale, step it forward in between your hands. Frame your front foot. Take your back left heel high over the toes. Find a low lunge shape as you inhale and dip the heart toward the front thigh. Then exhale, lift the hips and straighten through the front leg. 2 more times at your own pace. Inhaling to come forward. And exhale to move backward. Find the movement happening at the hips, steady and light through your arms. The next time that you come back into your low lunge shape, pause. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. And then inhale, giant step forward to the top of your space. Fold Uttanasana. Inhale, Utkatasana. Prepare your feet however you like, together or apart. Lengthen through the fingertips and sit down as if on an imaginary ledge behind you. Find the strength and the effort that this pose requires, and then soften something that doesn't need to be tight. Maybe your face or your mouth. Maybe your shoulders. Take an exhalation, hands to heart. Shift the weight over into the right leg. Inhale, the left leg rises, and then figure four on top of your right thigh. In your one-legged Utkatasana, sink down like an elevator with the right hip in line with the right knee. Soften the shoulders, press the hands together at heart. Find one more breath in, and then breathe out, begin to fold forward, loosen the hands down and slide the left foot down to the mat, pinky toes to touch. Left leg is over top of right, and then fold to your comfort. Notice the distinct boundary of your legs and the tension that arrives when you try to move beyond it, beyond your capacity. Just be in what is yours, this moment of breath, this moment of body. Inhale and lift the chest so you can unwind through the legs. Then plant the hands, lift the left leg up behind you, and set it all the way to the back of your mat into low lunge. Now tap your foot down, parallel with the pinky toe to the edge of the mat, and inhale, rise up through the arms into Warrior Two. When you come into Warrior Two, take a moment, maybe again with your hands to your hips, to level your pelvis, to draw your front knee over the center of the foot so you could just see your big toe in your vision. Then reach into the outer edge of your back foot and float your arms forward and back, maybe gazing over your front fingers. Again, feel what is yours. This is your moment with your body, your breath, and you get to decide what is invited in and what stays out. Feel that radiance that you send out through your fingers from your heart. One more breath in. Breathe it out and cartwheel your hands down to frame your front foot. Plant your hands, sweep your right leg up and back, three-legged dog, stretch through the heel, and then exhale and set the foot down. Breath in downward facing dog. Breath out, knees to touch the mat, toes together. Send your hips toward your heels into Child's Pose, Balasana. Melt your skin into the mat. And let go. Let go of the holding pattern of the body. Let go of the need to hold everyone else's troubles. Whether you've knowingly or unknowingly taken them on, now is always a good time to release what's not yours. Inhale and lift up into tabletop position. And swing your legs to one side to have a seat. Send your feet in front of you, and then take your left foot and place it underneath your right with your knee coming straight forward. Take your right foot over top of that leg. We'll hold on to the front knee and hug that inward toward the body, and then capture that with your left elbow and set your right fingertips behind you. Alternatively, if this isn't working out for your bottom leg, you can straighten it all the way out in front of you. Inhale and lengthen through the crown, and then exhale and gently twist from the heart space. Stay solid through your legs, pressing through the feet, and rising above the heaviness with lightness of breath in your heart, allowing the twist not to restrict the breath too much, finding the breath even in every moment of twisting. And exhale, release the twist and come back to center. Set your hands behind you and then unwind through the legs and send them to the other side. Hold on with your right arm around your left knee and let the left fingertips come back behind you. Inhale to grow taller through the spine and the crown, and then exhale and find your depth of the twist through the middle to upper chest. Reach the breath even into the back of your body. Feel the whole torso expanding and contracting in all directions. Noticing the container within which they dwell. Now exhale and release the twist. Take the hands behind you and release the legs. Spread the legs forward in front of you. And bend your knees, planting your feet close in toward you. Scoot forward toward your heels and lower yourself onto your back. Reach your fingertips down toward the heels so that they can touch, and then move the heels a couple inches away from the fingers. Now spread the hands by the sides and anchor the upper arms into the mat. Flare through the toes. Again, spread them up toward the ceiling so you feel the obvious press of your feet on the mat. Now inhale and squeeze through the inner thighs, the smile of your seat, and lift the hips toward the ceiling into bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sharvangasana. At this time, if it feels comfortable, you can interlace your hands underneath you and rock the shoulders more completely underneath you as well. Breathe into the chest and the throat. Find the chin slightly lifted away from the chest. And send the energy of your glutes toward your knees. Continue to squeeze inward through the thighs, keeping the knees stacked over the feet. One more expansive breath into the heart. And then breathe out, release your arms if they are bound, and roll your spine to the mat. Gather your knees in toward your chest and give yourself a squeeze. Maybe rock side to side on your low back. Into Happy Baby, Ananda Balasana. Separate your knees, spread your feet up, and take hold of both feet. As you clasp the hands and spread the feet toward the ceiling, let the knees descend easily by your sides and notice the space that you've created. Because of the boundaries of the body, you were able to create this space. And so consider boundaries an illuminating good thing, not to push other people away or to keep them out, but to become clear on our own sense of self, to dive into the depths of our peace and spaciousness so that we can better help and show up for others when they need us. Melt with one more big breath into the shape. And release the hands, release the legs, bring the knees back in to touch, the ankles to touch. Give yourself a squeeze around your shins. And exhale, spread the legs forward into Shavasana. Let them go wide to the edges of your mat. Flip your palms up and spread your arms wide as well. If you notice any tension in your low back, you might enjoy placing a bolster or a blanket underneath your knees. Become a little bit more comfortable in Shavasana, making any last adjustments here to the clothes or the body so that there are no irritations. And then wipe all expression from the face. Soften the skin of the mouth and the tongue inside the mouth. As the body releases into the ground, release your mind into the depth of your heart. Although we create these imaginary boundaries so that others' energy doesn't leak into our own and possess us, here in the heart, there is also a boundary-less place, a place of spirit and deep nourishment. Move into this connectedness. Let your breath completely soften and breathe the body by itself. Take a few moments in silence, finding the truth within. Return back to the body through your breath. Notice each moment of breath as it enters and exits the nostrils. And use that momentum to find movement in your fingers and your toes, in your wrists and ankles. And perhaps stretch your arms overhead and grow long through the center line of the body. Breathe into your awakening. Eventually, gather the knees in and roll onto a side of your choice, curling up in a ball. Take your time as you press up to a seat. If possible, keep the eyes closed so that you can stay in this inside place for a little bit longer. And once you've arrived in your seat, bring your hands to your heart in Anjali Mudra. And feel each hand press against itself, into the other and also into itself. Notice that even though there exists a boundary within the hands, as you press them into one another, they become one. And it's harder to discern where the boundary ends and the other hand begins. In this way, know that by placing up your own boundaries against energies that might consume you, you are actually becoming more compassionate and loving toward the people that emit those energies. You can show up for them and still remain yourself. I honor your light. Namaste. I appreciate you practicing with me, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more yoga and meditation videos to help you live in your heart and not in your head. Thanks so much for your presence, and I'll see you next time.